So let me walk you guys through how to set up a Samba server on Rocky Linux. What's up guys, it's Josh back with another video, and today I wanted to guide you guys through the process of setting up a Samba server on Rocky Linux. Now, what is Samba? Samba is a open source implementation of the SMB CIF networking protocol, which allows Linux and Unix like systems to seamlessly share files, printers, and other resources with Windows-based computers. It's an essential tool for creating cross-platform file and print services within your home lab. And so, as I stated earlier, I wanted to get it installed on Rocky Linux, which is a powerful and open source Linux distribution that is a one-to-one comparison to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So whether you're looking to share files and resources on your local network or create a central file server, Samba is the perfect solution. So let's go ahead and hop over to my virtual machine so I can walk you guys through the full process of getting this set up. All right, so I'm SSH into my Rocky Linux server, and this is a virtual machine, but I just wanted to show you guys the release version of Rocky Linux that I have installed, which is 8.8. And like I said, this is a one-to-one comparison to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So all the commands I run here will work on Red Hat Enterprise Linux and of course Rocky Linux. So let's walk through the steps right fast, and let's go down and clear the screen. And the first thing you want to do is update your system. So there is a command you need to run called yum. So all we have to do is type sudo yum and then updates. And this will find any updates for this system and update it. So let's go down and type in our sudo password and press enter. And like I said, it'll check for any updates on any packages on the system, download those packages, and then install them on this system just to get it up to date. And anytime you're installing new software on your server, you want to make sure your server is fully up to date. So let's type Y there. And that's basically just saying you want to verify that the download size and the packages are going to be upgraded. And so you have to type Y to confirm, press enter, boom. And also up here, it kind of breaks down the updates. I scroll back up, but a microcode CTL and SOS, those two packages are going to be upgraded. And so let's wait for it to finish. Okay, cool. So the updates are done on the system. And now let's go down and get Samba installed on the server. And you have to use the package manager, which is DNF. And this is for Rail systems. And so Rocky Linux, like I said, is that one-to-one comparison. So it uses that DNF package manager as well. It's pretty much the exact same way in order to get Samba installed. So let's go down and type sudo and then DNF and install, and then our packages. And I just want to go down and list them out. So Samba, then Samba-common, and then Samba client. We need to get that installed as well. So 3 packages, fairly simple, you know what I'm saying? And so all we have to do is hit enter at this point, and this will install those 3 packages. Boom, it'll go find them, download them. And then if you look up here, something is already installed. It says Samba common is already installed. So it just needs to install Samba and Samba client. And then these are the dependencies. So they have cups, libnet API, Samba common tools, and a couple other packages down here that will be installed. So you always want to verify that, or at least check that transaction summary. It'll install 8 packages. This is the sizes, or the download size, and then the install size. So all you have to do is type Y, press enter, and basically that's just asking you, are you sure you want to install those packages? And boom, we are done. We have Samba fully installed on the system. Now let's go through the configuration. And it's a couple of things I got to do before we get into the configuration file of Samba. And this is mainly just to set up accounts and all that stuff, because I already know what we're going to need in order to share, you know, this directory out. For one, we need to have a Samba account set up, or a Samba system password set up. And it's similar to, like, let's say MySQL. You know, if you have MySQL accounts on the MySQL server, it's the exact same thing with Samba. You have an account, you can use your local account, which mine is Josh, but it has a different password. And let me show you guys the command right fast. So if we type sudo and then SMB pass WD and then -A, and like I said, I'm gonna use my local account name, so it's gonna add that name add a password to it, all that good stuff. And then right here is where you set your Samba password. So all you have to do is type in whatever you want to use. It's going to ask you twice. See, retype it, press enter, and boom, we're done. It says added user Josh. So our account is set to use Samba. Now let's go down and make a few more changes just to make the configuration files a little simpler to use. And this is something for the future. You're basically setting this up for the future. If you follow my steps, it's best to create a group that handles all your Samba accounts. That way you can segment things off. You can share specific directories with specific users, like a user group. And that's essentially what we're going to do, is create a group and then add users to that group in order to access a specific share. And then it works with the configuration file. We can add the only people that can access this share is the people that's assigned to this group. And you can do that throughout all the accounts that you add to the system. And so let's create that group right fast. Let's type sudo group add, and then we just need to type in that group name, whatever we want to name it. It could be whatever. I'm gonna just name it SMB underscore group and press enter. That'll create that group for us. Now we need to add our Josh account to that group, and it's a command called user mod. So let's type sudo user mod and then -G for the group. That's what we're making changes to, is to the group. We want to add this group, the SMB underscore group, to the user account of Josh. So we're adding Josh to the SMB underscore group. That's essentially what this command is doing. So let's go down and press enter. Boom, it'll add our account to that group. And just show you guys, you can check to verify that your user account is in that group. And you can do this for any of the accounts that you create on the system. But there's a command called groups. And I'm not sure if I need to type sudo or not. I'm not 100% sure, but groups for Josh. And let's press enter. That'll show us all the groups. And as you can see, the first one is our default group, which is basically associated with your name or the account on the system. And then you have the SMB group, and then also your port of the wheel group when you're added as a sudo user. So that's the group that manages the sudo accounts. And so the next thing I want to show you guys is setting up the actual share itself, meaning the drive that you want to share out on the system. And you have to do a little configuration of that as well. So first off, let's create the actual directory that we want to share. And so all we have to do is use the make directory command. So type sudo and then make dir, because the location where we're going to create it is owned by the root directory. So we had to use sudo. And then let's put -p in there, and I'll show you guys what that's used for in a second. But under the serve directory is where I want to go down and create it. And so the directories that we want to create is, I want to create KIT directory, and that will hold all my shares. That's the location I want to put all my shares in, because you can create, multiple folders under there, and you can share them out separately or independently with different groups and all that stuff. So let's go down and type the other drive. Let's just start with it. I'm gonna just put a basic name. I'll just put share there, because I'm only creating one share. I'm not gonna create multiple ones. I just wanted to show you guys, that is an option. So you can create a folder that will hold all your shares. Then under that folder, you want to create whatever directory you want to create on it. And that's what this -p will do. Past serve, there are no directories. So SRV, no other directories underneath there. And then let's say we want to create a directory, and then we want to create a directory within this directory. Then we can use that -p. That will create this directory first, which is basically a folder, and then this share directory underneath this KIT directory. So let's go down and press enter. Boom, that'll go down and create that directory. Type in our sudo account, and like I said, it's going to create both of those directories underneath it. And we can verify that it's there. We can go ls, and then we could go serve. We can check under that directory. You'll see the KIT directory there. And then we can also go under there and then go to the KIT directory and check under that directory, and we'll see that the share, directory is there as well. So that -p actually worked the way it was supposed to. Now let's go down and set up some ownership. And I know I'm going a little too if this is too much, just ask questions down in the chat and I'll explain all these steps, in a little bit more detail if you guys have any questions. But chown is basically changing the ownership of a directory. And then we're using -or for recursive, and that'll just catch everything underneath it. That's what recursive does. It catches, files and directories under, pretty much everything. And so what we want to do is change the ownership. We're going to leave the ownership to roots. As far as the user, and that's what the first section is, that's for the user. And then we can set the group, and I want to set the SMB_group as the owner of this directory. So any user under that group will have ownership of this directory. So let's go down and type serve KIT and then share, and we can take that /off, press enter. That'll change the ownership. And just to quickly show you guys this, so let's go ls-la, and then let's check this directory just to verify. I'm gonna verify the ownership. So let's go KIT and press enter. Boom. That'll show us the settings for it, or the information for this directory. And as you can see, roots is the user owner of this directory, and then you'll see that SMB group as the group owner. Now let's modify the permissions, because right now it's set to 755, and the only reason I know that because I understand what all of this means up in here. So that's basically read, write, execute 7. That's what that means, because each one of these letters mean a specific number when you look at the permissions and break down the permissions. And so write and execute is 5, write and execute is 5, so it's 755 right now. And what I want to do is change it to 770, because these permissions right here, the last set of permissions, that is for the world, or what they call it. So anybody can have read and execute within this directory. We don't want that. I only want the group and the user to have full access, full control of this directory. So let's use a command called sudo chmod and then -R for recursive, which we really don't need it because there's no files or directories underneath it, but I just want to go down and use it, just show you guys, that as well. Let me move the cursor out the way, but -R, and then the permissions that we want to set. So 770, and then that serve directory. So serve KIT, and then share. Let's back that /off, press enter, boom. That'll set those permissions. And let's run that ls again so you guys can see. But as you can see, it made those modifications. So it moved basically the permissions for the world and gave full control to the group, which is that SMB group. So that's set up correctly. And now let's run another command. We have to run sudo chmon and then -t and then Samba _share _t. And then also for that same directory, so KIT and then share and back to /off, press enter. And essentially what that's doing, I didn't want to break it down, I just wanted to go and type it out so you guys can see it. But the chmon command, it basically changes the label associated with the file or directory to control how it interacts with other parts of the system. That's essentially what it does, and we set it with that Samba share -t tag. And if you want a little bit more information on that, I'll do another video showing you guys the chmon command at a later date. Now let's go down and get to the configuration of Samba. And so let's clear right fast. And so the first thing you want to do is back up the configuration file. Let me show you guys this right fast. Each application that you install, well, majority of the applications you install, it will come with a configuration file. And that configuration file is typically stored under the etc directory. And I'll show you guys the Samba configuration file, and this is the default configuration file. So I'm gonna type sudo, and then what I want to do is move it, because I always make a backup of the file. I'm not gonna make a backup of it. I'm gonna just move it and change the name of it, and then create a new file in the place of it that will handle our configuration. I'm only doing this just to make it a little bit quicker on this, because I'm explaining a lot and I want to make sure I get everything out as far as how to get this thing set up and configured properly. So Samba, and then it's the smb.conf file that we're looking for, and I want to move it to that same location. So etc Samba, and then let's name it the exact same, so smb.conf and then let's put a different name at the end of it. So backup, so BCK or BAK, however you want to name it, just know that it's a backup, and I'll just leave it at BAK. That's fine. Let's go down, press enter, boom, type in our sudo password, because everything is owned by root in this directory as well as far as the etc directory. And then now let's go down and create our configuration for it, our main configuration. So let's go sudo, and you can use whatever text editor you want to use. I'm gonna use Nano. Nano is installed by default on Rocky Linux, as well as Vim. Most people say use Vim or Vi. You can use whichever text editor you want. Nano works best for me. I've been using this since the beginning of my journey messing around with Linux, so I always use Nano. You can install it on any operating system, any Linux distro. Nano is available to you. It's simple to use. Vi comes installed by default, and then Vim's in some cases as well, but Nano is there a lot of times as well. So let's type Nano, and then let's create that file again. So let's go etc Samba, and you have to make sure you type it in correctly. And then we want to do smb.conf, and let's take that dot off of there because it was finna open up the backup file that we created. We want to create it exactly the way it was before, so smb.conf. That's the only way the system will be able to see it, is if it's that smb.conf, the same exact name. So let's go down and press enter. That'll open up that file for us, and whatever changes we make to it, we can save it in our location, and that'll replace our original configuration file. And what I'm gonna do is paste some of the stuff in there, but I'll break it down. And this is our global configuration, so I'll paste that in there so you guys can see it. But boom, that'll be our global configuration. And I wrote out these configuration files beforehand just to make this a little bit quicker. Even though I'm explaining it all, it does make it a little bit quicker. But this is our global configurations, and if we were to look at that original configuration file that was there, it had a lot of these global settings in here. You just had to go through and find them because they have a lot of comments in between each one of them explaining everything. So this is a scaled down, version of the configuration file, but it has all the same, information in it. So work group, it's a work group, server string, so Samba server, and then the version, and that's just a variable for the version. Net BIOS name Rocky 8, security user map to guest bad user, DNS proxy equals no, and NTLM authentication true. So boom, we got that set up. And let's set up our first share, and it's essentially the exact same format as above, but you want to name it first whatever you want to name it. So I'm gonna do KIT underscore and then share, and you'll see me do this a lot. I always use underscores just to keep it all one word. You see what I'm saying? So let's press enter, and let's create our first share. And the first thing you want to do is set up the path. Now we already know what that path is because we just created it. So all you have to do is type path equals space and then our share. So it's under that serve directory, and then KIT, and then /share. So that is our directory. That's the path to our directory for this share. So let's press enter. The valid users, so we want to add that. So valid user equals, and this is where I told you that group will come into effect, and you can reference local groups within the SMB file or the configuration file. You could reference groups, so SMB and then underscore group. And like I said, this is the easy way to do it. You know what I'm saying? You can follow me, or you can go in and figure out another way to actually do it. It's more than one way to skin a cat, but I just wanted to show you guys this way. You can follow me, or you can do it a different way. Let's make it browsable. Let's go and type that in, and it looks like I spelled that wrong, so I'm gonna take that E out, and let's put equals and then yes, and then writable. And I keep spelling things wrong, but writable equals yes, and then guest okay. I don't want guest to be able to see this, so guest okay equals no, and boom. So that's our share. We got it set up. Let's go down and exit out of this configuration. It'll save all our changes to it. I hit Control X, and then right here it's going to ask you save modify buffer. So basically all the information we put into the file is going to save in that file, and then all we have to do is type Y for yes, and then the file name to write it out to is that smb.config. So let's press enter. It basically created that file, wrote out that information to the actual file for us. So now the next thing you want to do is test this configuration file that we created. So let's go sudo, and then there's a built-in command called test perm, and that's basically going to test out our configuration file. So let's press enter. As you can see, it says it loads the SMB config file, you know, from etc samba smb.conf. Unknown parameter entered, valid user. Let's see, ignoring unknown parameter, valid user. So that lets us know that there is an issue with our file, and I already know what the issue is, so let's go down and fix it. Let's go back into our configuration file right fast, and this is why you need to verify, you know, what you type in there. And essentially, if we go down here to the bottom where it says valid user and then put an S there, because it's actually valid users. And so let's go down there, save this right fast, press enter, and run the test perm again, or test perm. Press enter and press enter again, and we shouldn't see that issue again. Yeah, as you can see, it shows it up right there, so we can see the valid users, or that the people within that group, and it's with an S. So sorry about that. Let's go down there and rock forward with the setup. All right, so we made these changes to this configuration file. Now, in order for them to be used, this configuration file, specifically the one that we just modified, created, and all that good stuff, in order for it to be recognized by Samba, we have to restart Samba. So let's go down and check the status of our Samba server first, and we can run the systemctl command. So let's go sudo systemctl, and then let's look at the status, and let's look at the status of the two services that work together for Samba to work. And it's smb.service and nmb, and let's go down and put those together just so we can run them together right fast. Press enter. It'll check both of those services. So as you can see, both of those services are not running, so we need to go through and start both of those services and enable them as well. So let's go down and just back out right here, and we can start those services. Press enter. That'll start those services, and then what you want to do after that is enable those services. So let's type enable, and essentially by turning it on or enabling it, this will allow it to start up each time the system reboots. So let's press enter there. That'll, you know, enable both of those services for us. And then let's check the status again. Let's go back up to status. They'll check both of those daemons for us, or daemons for us. As you can see, Samba, the SMB daemon, is active and running. And then right here is where you can see that it's enabled. So enabled means that it will start that service every single time it boots up. And we scroll down a little further, we can go down right here. You'll see the nmb.service. That's the Samba nmb daemon. It's active, you know, running and enabled, as you can see right there. So I just ran both of them together so you guys can see, you know, you can obviously run them separately the exact same way. Just run them separately. You just have to put it in like that, so that'll run them separately. All right, cool. So it's one more thing you want to set up, and that is the firewall. So I'll run through this right fast, but all we have to do is type sudo, and then what I want to do is check to see if the firewall is on. So let's type systemctl, and then we want to look at the status for the firewall D, which is the service that manages the firewall. So let's press enter. As you can see, it's active, enabled, and running. Good to go. That comes running by default and enabled by default, which is a good thing, because if you guys know anything about, you know, Ubuntu, or if you use Ubuntu before, the firewall is not active when you install, and this is a fresh install. So Rocky and Rail, it comes with the firewall service running, and so it's automatically blocking all ports except the certain services that it installs by default, which is like SSH, and what we're gonna add is the Samba service. So let's check the services right fast. So we can also type another command. So let's go sudo, and this is the firewall command. So let's type firewall and then -cmd and then --list-services. And I'm gonna tab it out. Boom, it'll list out the services. As you can see, we got cockpit. That port is open for that, and I'm assuming that's 80, or I can't remember what the default port is for cockpit, but DHCP, you know, client, as well as SSH. So that's allowing connections to the server itself. And what we want to do is add Samba. That way people on the network can access the Samba share that we just set up. And so let's add that service. So all we have to do is type sudo firewall, and actually I'm gonna up arrow and back off the list services, and let's type in -- permanents, and this is to permanently add this service ports to be open at all times. So even after it reboots, it will have these ports open. So you want to use permanent and then -- add. I'm gonna tab it out, but it's add service, and the name of it is Samba. So all we have to do is type Samba at the end of it. So add service equals Samba. So that'll add the rules in the firewall to allow Samba connections. So let's go on and press enter. You know, that'll open up the ports, and we can run that list services again, and you should see, or it's not there yet, we have to reload it. I forgot about that. So let's run sudo. Anytime you make changes to the firewall, you got to reload. So firewall and then -cmd, tab that out, -- reload. And I hope it doesn't kill my connection. Yeah, it doesn't kill it. Okay, cool. So now if we go in and list our services again, we should see Samba. Yeah, there we go. So it's right there, good to go. Now our share is 100% set up. We could test it out right fast. All right, so I'm in one of my virtual machines, and let's go down and connect to it. I'm gonna just use the file explorer. This is a Kali Linux. I just wanted to show you guys a different operating system altogether. And what you can do is go up here to the top in most of your Linux systems, and this is the same thing for Windows as well. You can, you know, type it in. It's a little bit different, but you can type it in similar to this, but SMB and then port // and then the IP address of the server. So 168.10, and then I believe the IP address of the server is 147. Let me press enter and see if it brings it up, and it probably won't bring it up. Oh, there we go. So it brought it up. So that's our share. All we have to do is click on the share. It's going to ask us to register or use our registered account, which I already know is Josh on that server. So that's our SMB, you know, account. So you will have to type in whatever account you set for your SMB group that you created on the server. So type in our passwords, and I won't save that password because it'll put it in the key ring and all that stuff on this system, and I might not even keep this system. You know, it's a virtual machine. I only use it for videos. So let's go down and hit connect, and we should be able to connect to the server. Let's go down and create a folder right fast, and let's just type test, because we should have full access to this. Yeah, we do. So, and then also let's create a document right fast. So boom, and let's type test in there right there right fast, and then let's open up this file, and let's open it up in, actually let's rename it, that way it knows what it is, and we could just quickly open it up. I just don't want to, you know, play around with it. We can open it up right fast. Let's just type something in here. So test 1 2 3, and then Control S for save, close it out, and let's reload it. Hold on 1 second. Let's close it though. But we made our changes to it, and let's go down and hop back over to our terminal and check that directory right fast. Let's ls what's in that directory just to see. So ls-la, and then that's the serve directory, and then kit, and then that share drive. Let's press enter. As you can see, we got that test file in there. It was just created a few minutes ago, a few seconds ago actually. And then let's go into that test directory, boom, and then let's actually cat out that file. Actually, let's press up arrow, and then let's go back over here to the beginning and type cat, and let's type the test.txt. Let's cat that out, and as you can see, that's what we created on that other virtual machine. So as you can see, our shared drive actually works. So you are good to go. If you follow these steps, you know, you'll be good to go on setting up a Samba share using Rocky Linux. All right, so thank you for joining me in this tutorial on setting up a Samba server within Rocky Linux. And I hope you found this guide helpful in getting your file sharing and network resources needs up and running. And if you encounter any issues or have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to assist. And also, your feedback is invaluable in helping me improve my content. So don't forget to like the video and share with others who may benefit from it. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the KeepItTechie channel for more Linux and technology related tutorials, tips, and tricks. And so I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and of course, keep it techie.